Hey everybody, great to be back with you with another Albacore update. We are continuing to monitor the progress of Albacore and the prospects of a great season this year. We've got it all for you right now. Welcome to Friedman Adventures. I'm Phil Friedman, and we are talking longfin tuna here today. Well, Albacore, let's just talk in general about it. What is the stock like? We really don't know exactly, but all indications are that the stock of Albacore is in good shape. There's no red flags that suggest that there's a problem with the stock. So there's plenty of Albacore. So what has been the problem here in Southern California and Baja? And the answer is simple. It's been oceanography, okay? I mean, fish are like people. They like certain types of conditions, and they need some kind of a McDonald's or a Taco Bell or something to be open. So what am I talking about? Albacore are a tuna that prefer cooler water. We have had a lot of warm water these past several years, and Albacore swim into that kind of water and they say, no freaking way. I don't like this at all. And then they swim back into cooler water. So it's all about oceanography. And I mentioned Taco Bell and McDonald's. That means there's got to be a food source somewhere around. Those fish have got to be able to find feed. They've got to find conditions that they like. If they find that, then we'll see Albacore here in Southern California. So before I get into some of the observations I have for you, let me just make this comment. When you make those early season Albacore predictions, as we do here at Friedman Adventures, we go into it with our eyes wide open. It's really too early. You get an idea of what's going to happen with the oceanography, but you're never quite sure exactly what will play out. So last year we made that early call that we would have Albacore, and it looked really, really good. But when we got to this time of the year, it was game over. We knew we weren't going to get Albacore. We got that one fish and prayed that maybe that was the tip of the iceberg and we'd see more Albacore. But we knew in our hearts that that probably was not going to happen because the water warmed too much. The call for a La Nina went the other way and it started to warm up. And unfortunately, that is the kind of oceanography that type of tuna, Albacore, does not like, so it was really dim. However, this year, it's an entirely different situation. Here we are in June, starting to get into late June, and it still looks like the highway is open. It looks like we've got a really good chance and shot at this. I turned to Tommy Holland, who's been doing all the research on this, talking to the commercial guys, keeping track of where they're fishing. And they are fishing an entirely different area this year. Many of the boats are encountering Albacore out by the urban bank and surrounding areas. That's only 300 miles from San Diego, and that is such a good sign because it's in an entirely different area. Tommy talked to one of the guys, one of his commercial sources, who said that they feel like there's a huge concern that the water temps from below Oregon all the way up are problematic for Albacore. Problematic. Those are the zones where we've seen lots of Albacore. So the conditions do not look good for Albacore from there, from below Oregon to all the way up, which opens the door for all of us. It could shove those fish into our zone, and hopefully it's going to do just that as we continue to watch and monitor this for you very, very closely. Albacore boats picking a few fish. It's looking very good. Now, I asked Bob Osborne, and I hope you watched Bob's presentation the other day. Bob put comparison charts up of water temperature from 2008, the last big boomer Albacore year we had here in SoCal, and compared it to today. And he also compared last year to this year. And the link is there in the show description. You can take a look at that right now. We saw some really interesting stuff, and Bob remains very optimistic and thinks that this thing is going to go here. Now, if it goes, it'll be in the next month or so. That's when we'll see Albacore start to filter in, and hopefully it's going to do that. And when we talk about the highway being open, okay, what we're talking about is the water that would bring the fish, the Albacore, those beautiful longfins into the West Coast, perhaps up to the north, and then they slide down as far as they're going to slide down into northern Baja, usually Southern California. That highway has got to have the kind of water that Albacore like. It has to have the oceanography that they like. And here in June, after Father's Day, it still looks open. That water looks good. There's a few little problems, but they seem to be minor, and it doesn't look like that is going to affect us. They're still calling for the La Nina. It still looks good in terms of that. We have some warming going on the Baja coast and Southern California. And then you have this periodical warming, like San Clemente Island, 72 degrees. Baja coast, 73 degrees. But you get offshore, and that's where we can find our albacore. That water still looks really, really good. And we have seen years like this in the past. I remember fishing those years where you had two choices. You'd come out of Point Loma and you'd go down the Baja coast, run a 160 course, even a 155. Down the coast, you catch yellowfin tuna, dorado, yellows on kelps, all that fun stuff. Or you would turn out and do a 200-degree course, 220, and go out offshore and catch albacore. So that warm water on the coast does not prohibit a good albacore bite this year. A couple of things that are not scientific, but you know what? Honestly, sometimes the science, they say best available science sometimes, and that could mean that they don't have any science, but here's my best guess by a scientist, and I think we've all learned that can go haywire really fast. So what I'm about to tell you is the observations of some captains that I truly respect and what they think. Now, Bobby Taft, back when I was on this trip right here, I was with Bobby when we took our great men and women out from the military for a day's fishing on the Top Gun 80, and several other boats were involved. That was a really beautiful day, Battle of the Branches. I asked him straight up, and he said, yeah, I think we're gonna have albacore this year. So, a guy that's been in the business that long, that goes a long way with me. I like that. Now, also, Paul Strasser, he runs the Independence, owns the Independence. He's at 20 seconds free landing. Paul said there is no problem with the stock. Those albacore will be back. Whether it'll be this year or not, he's not quite sure. But Paul kind of was edging toward thinking we might see some albacore. And a couple of other things. George Mio, God bless him and God rest his soul, is not with us anymore. But Tommy Holland said that George Mio from the New Hustler 2 used to say, man, when you see that barracuda move in on the beaches, and in case you haven't been paying attention, June the 20th, it exploded there in the Long Beach, San Pedro area with boats up over 200 barracuda, huge numbers of barracuda that we haven't seen for a long time. And Georgie said, when you see that, that's when you're going to see albacore offshore. So you say to yourself, well, come on, what difference does that make? A guy that's basically taking a guess. It's really not a guess. It's George seeing that happen time and time again, year after year after year. So that also gives me great solace in this prediction that we're going to see a lot of albacore this year. Fingers are crossed. And one more thing that I'll throw in there. We've got the oceanography. We've got the highway open. We've got these observations by captains that I really, really admire. We know the stock is okay. How about McDonald's? Is it open or not? And the answer is yes, because albacore love to feed on anchovy, and we seem to have more anchovy around than we have in quite some time. And that is a food source that albacore truly, truly love. So that looks good to me also. So, are we going to see albacore anytime soon? Well, I am praying and hoping that is indeed going to be the case. Only time will tell whether I have egg on my face again this year or whether those long fins show up. And of course, this year we're doing this a little bit differently. Last year we made a prediction, lived with it, and died with it. And we're still, hey, if there's no albacore this year, okay, I blew it again, second year in a row. But we're updating it like we are now because we're trying to see if these conditions are going to change. And so far, we're right on track for albacore. Bob Osborne, the guy that poured over all of that data for you on those charts, you should click on that and listen to it. Bob Osborne says, I am confident that we'll see albacore this year. How much? We don't know, but we'll continue to watch it here at Friedman Adventures for each and every one of you. So get out back and start practicing with a clothespin. Frank Lupreste said that mimicked the weight of an anchovy really, really well. Get out there, start practicing, because pretty soon here, you might be pulling on your first albacore. And for the old timers out there like me, man, that would be truly great. I'm not wishing the bluefin away. I'm just wanting to add longfin tuna. Take care, my friends. We'll keep on this for you. Thanks for your great support.